In this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can create your own custom materials, how you can bring in 3D models, how you can bring in their textures, and how you can create your own materials by using those textures and then apply them on your 3D models. Then I'm going to show you how you can bring in a camera into your scene. And then at the end, we're going to create a very simple animation by using Unreal Engine's level sequence. Okay. So let's begin. I'm going to first of all create a new folder, and by using my right mouse button over this content browser, it's going to show me this menu, and I'm going to simply click here on this new folder option. I'm going to rename this as materials. Let's open this folder, and I'm going to open the same menu, and I'm going to create a new material. Okay. Let's rename this material as m_basic. And I'm going to open this material, and let's dock this material in here. So this is the material graph of the node-based material editor inside Unreal Engine. As you may have noticed that this node menu pretty much looks like what we had in Blender. And much like Blender, we can use this material graph to bring in different nodes to create different sort of materials. Okay. Let's now bring in a node for this base color. Now to bring out a node for this base color, what I'm going to do is to hover my mouse cursor over this material graph and simply press my right mouse button. Okay. It's going to show me this menu, and I'm going to simply search for constant 3 vector. If I search for constant, it's going to show me a constant 2 vector, 3 vector, and 4 vector. I'm going to simply bring in the constant 3 vector, and I'm going to connect this node with the base color. Now this node is going to allow me to change the base color of my material. Let's say I want this material on my surface. I can simply choose that material and press OK. Now, same is the case for metallic, specular, and roughness as well. But for these three, I'm going to bring in a constant vector. Okay. I'm going to search for constant and select it from the menu. And then I'm going to connect this with the metal. Let's create a duplicate of this node. And I'm going to connect this with the specular. I'm going to do the same thing with the roughness as well. I'm going to connect this to roughness. Now, by using these 3 nodes, we can control the value of metallic, specular, and roughness of our material. Okay. Let's say that I want the roughness to be somewhere around 0.5. I can simply select this node from here and then type in 0.5 in here. Same is the case for metallic as well. Let's say that I want the metallic value to be, let's say I want this material to be fully metallic. I can simply type in 1 in here. Let's now save this material. And I'm going to go back into my viewport. I'm going to drag this material and drop it on this sphere. And as you can see that we have a new material on this sphere. Okay. So if you want to change something, you can always open this basic material graph. And let me resize this. Let's say that I want to change the base color. I can simply select this node and change this to whatever I want. And then press OK. And then click on apply. You also have to save this material if you want to keep your changes. And same is the case for the other parameters as well. For example, I want to change the roughness value of this material. I can simply change this to, let's say, 0 and apply this change. And as you can see that we have 0 roughness on this material. Okay. But these changes are not happening in real time. It's a pretty lengthy process to select and open the material, change the color, and press OK, and then apply this change to make that change actually happen in the viewport. So there is a much better way in which you can create these materials to make these changes in real time. And it is way more efficient, especially if you have a number of materials and number of textures to deal with in a bigger project. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge this window. And I'm going to select all these nodes that I have in my graph editor and convert them into parameters. For example, I'm going to select this node and I'm going to press my right mouse button to convert this to parameter. Because this is a base color parameter, I'm going to rename this as base color. I'm going to do the same thing with this one as well. I'm going to press my right mouse button and convert this to parameter. I'm going to rename this as metallic. Same is the case for this one as well. Specular. And I'm going to do the same thing with the roughness as well. Now what we need to do is we need to save everything. Come out of this one and create a material instance of this basic material. Okay. And now if I'll open this basic material, you can see that we have all these parameters that we had beforehand in the material graph. And now we can tweak these values to change different parameters in the viewport in real time. Okay. We first need to apply this material instance on this sphere. And now let's say I want to change the base color. I can simply just go in here and change my base color to whatever I want. Okay. I'm going to press OK. Let's say I want to increase the roughness. You can always come in here and tweak the slider to increase the roughness. And you can see that all these changes are happening in the viewport in real time. So by converting your nodes into parameters and then create an instance material of that basic material, you can control those parameters in real time. I'm going to show you a much quicker way to create the basic material as well. I'm going to open this one and enlarge this window. I'm going to delete all of these. I'm going to simply just hover my mouse cursor over this base color node and promote this to parameter. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing for metallic, specular, and roughness as well. Okay. By following this workflow, you can just straight up promote your node into a parameter, and it's going to automatically connect the nodes, convert NV constant into parameter, and create your material within seconds. Okay. So I'm going to save everything in here. And one more thing that you can do in here is that you can also select your parameter and set the maximum value. Okay, let's say that I want a maximum value of 1 and a minimum value of 0 for all these parameters. I'm going to save everything, come out of this one. And now if I'll open this material instance, you can see that I have these sliders to work with. It's going to just clamp my values between 0 and 1. Okay. Let's save everything. Now let's say that I want to apply a material on this cube as well. Now I don't necessarily have to create a basic material again, then connect all those nodes, then create a material instance again, and then apply that material instance on this cube. What I can simply do is I can simply just create a duplicate copy of this material instance, apply that material instance on this cube. I'm going to open this material instance, and now you can change the base color and all these parameters to whatever you want. It is not going to affect your other material because this is an entirely different material instance. Okay. So I'm going to save everything in here again. Let's now move on to the next part of this video where I'm going to show you how you can bring in 3D models into your project and then eventually into your scene, and then how you can bring textures of those models. And then I'm going to also show you how you can apply those textures on a material and then eventually that material on that particular 3D model. So I'm going to go into content and create a new folder because I want to keep everything organized. I'm going to just rename this as 3D models. Let's open this folder and import an FBX file of a model. I'm going to go and open the location of my 3D model. I'm going to open this folder and select the FBX file of the 3D model that I want to import. Okay. I'm going to click on open. It's going to show me this import options menu. Let's make a few changes. I'm going to uncheck this box because this is not a skeletal mesh, and I'm going to uncheck this box as well because I don't want to generate any missing collisions. I'm going to change this to do not create materials, and I'm going to uncheck this box as well because I'm going to import the textures separately. Okay. Let's click on import all. And it's going to import all the objects within that FBX file. I'm going to save everything, and let's select everything by pressing and holding shift on the keyboard. Now I can simply drag my mouse cursor and bring this 3D model into the scene. Okay. Let's move this 3D model to a different folder in the outliner so that I can keep my project a little organized. I'm going to rename this as Canon. Let me bring this down here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so as you can see that this is the 3D model that we have in our scene, and by default, it doesn't have any sort of material. So whenever an object doesn't have any sort of material on it, Unreal Engine automatically applies a default world grid material on that object. Okay, so we're gonna have to bring in our own textures and then create a material by using those textures, and then we're gonna apply that material on this 3D model. Okay, so let's now import the textures as well. I'm going to select the textures and open them. Let's select all these textures and I'm going to press open again, and then it's going to take some time and import all the textures that we have for this 3D model. Okay, I'm going to save everything, And these are the textures that we're going to use to create a material for this 3D model. So let's now create a material. I'm going to open the same menu that we opened beforehand. I'm going to select this material and let's rename this material as M underscore basic underscore Canon. I'm going to open this material and let's dock this window in here. And this is the material graph that we worked on beforehand. And in order to bring in textures in this material graph, what we're going to do is we're going to open the content browser and find the directory where we save these textures. Select all the textures and then drag them into the material graph. Okay, let's quickly align them. So this is the diffuse or base color map. This is the metallic map, the roughness map, and finally we have the normal map. You can easily identify these maps by following the name convention in here. Okay, so I'm going to connect this base color map with the base color node. I'm going to connect this metallic map with the metallic node. I'm going to do the same thing for the roughness as well. And then finally, I'm going to connect this normal map with the normal. Okay, I'm going to save everything. Let's come out of this one. And before we actually apply this material on this object, there is one thing that you need to know, which is that this material is not optimized for Unreal Engine because this is an OpenGL material. Unreal Engine doesn't work with normal GL maps. In fact, it works with DirectX normal maps. So in order to convert this to OpenGL map to a DirectX map, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the green channel. Okay, so I'm going to simply double click on this texture to open this normal map. And then I'm going to search for flip green channel. I'm going to check this box. And now Unreal Engine has converted this OpenGL map into a DirectX map. Okay, so I'm going to save everything. Come out of this one. And now we can apply this material on all of these objects. So you can also drag and drop this material on different objects. But let's say that you have a number of objects and you want to apply this material. So that is why it is important to keep your outliner organized. What I can do in here is to simply select everything that I have inside my Canon folder. And then I can just select this material and drop it on this slot. And it's going to automatically apply the material on all of the objects that I have selected. And as you can see that we have successfully imported a 3D model into the content browser. Then we brought that 3D model into the scene. Then we imported the textures. Then we created a material with those textures. And then we applied that material on this 3D model. Okay. I'm going to save everything. And let's now open and let's now import another 3D model. I'm going to go into content. I'm going to go into 3D models. And first, let's create a new folder. I'm going to rename this as Canon. I'm going to select all of these objects and move them to this folder. Let's create another folder. I'm going to rename this as Barrel. Okay. Let's click on import. I'm going to select the FBX file of the barrel and click on open. And I'm going to keep all these settings. Make sure the skeletal mesh is unchecked because this is not a skeletal mesh. And also I don't want to generate any missing polygons. I'm going to import the textures separately. So I'm going to disable them as well. I'm going to click on import all and it's going to open it's going to import the 3D model that it has in that FBX file. Okay. So this is the 3D model of a barrel that we have in our scene. And let's now bring in a few textures of this model. I'm going to click on import, open the textures folder and select all these textures, bring them into Unreal. And just like we did beforehand, we're going to open this normal map, flip the green channel because this is an OpenGL map. I'm going to save everything. I'm going to come out of this one. And now we need to apply these textures on this barrel. Okay. But the problem is that it's going to take too much time to create a new material from scratch and then drag all these textures into the material, then connect all those nodes and then apply that material on this barrel. It's going to take a lot of time, especially if you have a large scene and you have to deal with a number of models. So a much better and efficient way is to simply open the material that we used for this particular 3D model And just like what we did beforehand with the basic material, we're going to convert these textures to parameters. And then we're going to replace these textures with the new textures and then apply that material on the new 3D model. It sounds complicated right now, but it's a lot simpler than it sounds. So I'm going to just show you how you can do that. I'm going to just select all these textures or all these maps and convert them to parameters. I'm going to just select this texture and select convert to parameter. I'm going to rename this as base color. I'm going to do the same thing with this one as well. Metallic. Same thing with the roughness as well. And same thing with the normal, okay? So now I have converted all these maps into parameters. Now what I can do is I can simply save this and create a material instance of this material. And then I can open this material instance. And as you can see, it is now showing me all these maps that I used for this particular 3D model. Now what I can do is I can simply just create a duplicate of this material, just like we did with the basic material instance, and then open this material. I'm going to apply this material on this barrel. Okay. I'm going to open this barrel folder and then simply replace these textures. I'm going to drag this and drop it in the base color. I'm going to do the same thing with the metallic as well. Sorry, I think I didn't rename this one. I'm going to go back and open this parent material and I'm going to, I'm going to rename this as metallic. Save everything. Come out of this one. And let me enlarge this menu. There we go. I'm going to drag this and drop it in normal. And then I'm going to drag this roughness map and drop it on this slot. Okay. And now as you can see that I have successfully applied all these textures on this barrel by using the same basic material. This is a much quicker and efficient way instead of creating a new basic material from scratch and then import all those textures and connect the nodes again, which becomes really difficult and takes a lot of time, especially if you have a number of models to work with. A much efficient way is to simply just convert the maps into parameters, create a material instance, and then replace those maps with the new textures. Okay. Let's now import another 3D model. I'm going to go into 3D models folder and create a new folder. I'm going to rename this as wooden underscore crate. I'm going to click on import and let's open this folder. I'm going to select this FBX file and I'm going to keep all those settings as it is. Click on import and I'm going to select this object and drag this into the scene. As you can see, it doesn't have any sort of materials or textures. We're going to import them separately. I'm going to go into import again and select all those textures. Click on open and I'm going to save everything. I'm going to open this normal map because this is also an OpenGL map. I'm going to search for flip and check this box to flip the green channel. I'm going to save everything. Come out of this one. And what we can do in here is to simply search for the material that we used for this barrel. Create a duplicate material. Apply this duplicate material on this wooden crate. I'm going to open this material, go into the wooden crate folder, replace these maps with the new textures. As you can see, we have successfully applied a new material on a totally different static mesh. This is how you can duplicate different material instances and simply just replace the textures instead of creating new materials from scratch. It's going to save you a ton of time and it's really easy to work with as well. I'm going to save everything and let's now move on to the final part of this video where I'm going to show you how you can bring in a camera into the scene and how you can create a very simple animation using the Unreal Engine's level sequence. So let's say that you want to bring in a camera in your scene. What you want in here is to simply, let's say, focus on this barrel. I'm going to select all of the objects of this Canon and move them on x-axis. Maybe somewhere around here. I'm going to select these two as well and drag them here. Yeah. Let's say that you want your camera to focus on this cube. I'm just going to align this cube with my view and simply go into this burger menu. And I can select this option here, create camera here, and select Cine Camera Actor. Okay. It's going to create a camera in my scene, and it's also going to create a small window in here as well, which shows you the view of the camera. Okay. And if I move out of this one, you can see that this is the camera. You can see that we have this camera in the scene. We can also move this camera. Let's say that I want to move this camera on y-axis. You can see that it is also, these changes are also taking place in my camera view as well. Yeah. So same this case for z-axis and x-axis as well. You can also rotate this camera by pressing E on the keyboard. Okay. Of course, we have a lot of settings in here that we can tweak for our camera, but for now, I'm just going to keep things simple. And as we go down the series, we're going to discuss different settings that we need for our codes. Okay. So let's now create a level sequence to create a very simple animation. I'm going to go into content and create a new folder. I'm going to rename this folder as level_sequence. I'm going to open this folder and I'm going to open this menu by pressing my right mouse button on the content browser. And I'm going to go into cinematics and select level sequence. I'm going to open this level sequence and it's going to bring out this timeline that we can use to animate different sort of objects in our scene. If your timeline somehow opens in a separate window, you can simply just drag this and dock it near your content browser. So what I'm going to do in here is to create a very simple animation. Let's say that I want to move this barrel. So what I'm going to do is to simply select this barrel. It's going to give me this transform parameter by default. I'm going to move to frame number 0 and add a location keyframe in here. Let's now move to frame number 60 and click on this barrel and move this on y-axis. Okay, let's add a keyframe in here as well. And now if I'll play this animation, you can see we have a very simple animation in here. Let's say that you want to move your camera with the barrel as well. I can simply select this camera, bring this into the level sequence. It's going to open this camera view for me, and you can come out of this camera view by clicking on this arrow. Okay, but for now, I'm just going to keep it as it is. And let's open this transform menu that we have for this camera. I'm going to add a location keyframe, and let's move to frame number 60. And I can open this location parameter and tweak this number to move the camera anywhere I want. Now, if I'll move to frame number 0, you can see that we have a very simple animation of camera and this barrel. Okay. So this was a very brief overview of how things work inside Unreal Engine, how you can interact with the interface, how you can move around in your scene, how you can move different objects in your scene, how to bring in 3D models, how you can texture those models and apply those materials on the 3D models, how you can bring a camera into your scene, and finally, how you can create a very simple animation by using Unreal Engine's level sequence. Okay. I just wanted to give a brief introduction because I wanted to keep the beginners in the loop as well. From the next lesson, we're going to begin our course and create a basic layout of the first shot that we're going to create for this cinematics course.